Hello everybody, what's up, what's going on, and welcome to your 26th episode of Raptors Win. So the Raptors have gone on a 5-game winning streak, and you know what? It is looking amazing. It is looking great, it's looking favorable, we're getting in the right direction, but there are a few reasons why we went on this winning streak. So without any further ado, let's get it. So this all started off with the last game of the year 2021. And this was the game against the LA Clippers. And this pretty much marked the beginning of a 5-game winning streak. Now, this was an amazing performance, considering that we have lost most of our key players in the games coming up to this game due to the NBA COVID protocols. With this game, we had slowly started getting back some of our key players. We started off with getting back OG Anunoby, Pascal Siakam, and then Gary Trent Jr. as well. And of course, this game resulted in a W. Now, we still have to realize that with the LA Clippers, yes, they don't have Kawhi Leonard, but they also didn't have Paul George. And as a result, we took advantage of this win. But you know what? That's what every other team did when we had our players missing. Let's not forget the Cleveland Cavaliers game. That was a total blowout. We just had our bench and then some of the guys that we just kind of added last minute just because we needed to fill roster spots. So, yeah, it was tough. But hey, we won the games we needed to win. Of course, that was one of the main reasons how we got on this 5-game winning streak, is because the teams that we were playing, they had some key personnel missing. Now here is something that makes Freddie a true leader. Being on the COVID protocols, he took advantage of it as the veteran he is, as the true leader he is. Let's not forget this is the same man when we had Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan running the team. This was the same man who ran the bench mob, who worked with the bench so much, and he took so much pride in running the bench that they earned the reputation of bench mob. Some of the coaches around the league were also mentioning that Toronto's bench is good enough to be a starting unit. Surely enough, we have 3 of those players now, the key players for the Toronto Raptors. Freddie being one of them, of course, Pascal and OG. So then this brings me to my next point, which is the bench. And I'm not just singling out Chris Boucher here, but he was the biggest improvement that I've noticed since the season started. He's finally starting to accept his role, and now with added playing time, with more court time, and buying into his role, the team is actually seeing success. Mind you, he still shoots those threes that make me cringe, but he's still doing the hustle plays that we want him to do. He's still crashing the board. He's still grabbing the boards. And of course, every now and then he'll give you production. But it's the defense that we want from him. And that's what he's finally showing. He's finally showing the Chris Boucher that we've seen 2 seasons ago. At least he's starting to. He's not there just yet, but he's figuring it out. And now we go back to our first game of this year, and that was against the New York Knicks. And this was an amazing game. Again, we won this handily. We had all our players back. We even had Kem Birch back. And now that I'm looking at the stats here, Pascal, Freddie, they both had amazing games. Pascal with the 20 points, 14 boards, 7 assists. And then we got Freddie, 35 points, 5 assists, 5 boards. This, like I said, from the previous game against the Clippers, he started going on a tear. Chris Boucher, he had a pretty good game too. He did exactly what was expected of him, and he provided the hustle, provided the energy, and of course timely baskets. So that was good. He held the bench down that way. But again, it all came down to our 2 veterans, Pascal Siakam and Freddie Van Vliet. Now, of course, these 2, they better be on the All-Star team, man. I gotta tell you, if they do not even make the bench, there's something wrong with the NBA. Now, the next game they've played is against the San Antonio Spurs. And again, this was a handy win for the Toronto Raptors, of course. But when we look at the stats here, Scottie Barnes, he had a near triple-double, 11 points, 8 assists, 9 boards. Now he's starting to come back on track. And then we got Pascal Siakam, double-double, 18 points, 12 boards. Again, he's crashing the boards like we want him to, like we need him to. And we got Gary Trent Jr., 21 points. Man, he had some good shots in that game. And I love his mid-range game. Like, he has some really nice floaters, really nice little jump shots. Almost kind of remind me of Joe Johnson. But yeah, he has a really nice stroke. And of course, Freddie Van Vliet with 33 points. This is the third game since he came back. He's had 30 plus points. On the bench, of course, Justin Champagnie, he had an amazing game. He scored 14 points in 13 minutes of action. That's very efficient. And of course, 3 boards. So Justin Champagnie, he had a good game in this game. And this was looking good. This was the bench coming out again with Precious, 10 points, 4 boards. And again, I felt like the bench was contributing in ways that they were supposed to. Even if they did not produce as many points, they were doing the hustle plays, like grabbing the boards, or making those timely baskets when we need them, giving that rest for our starters. Again, the bench not trying to play too much hero ball, so they've bought into their role. And this is boding well. This is what is helping us get into that winning streak that we're at right now, which is a 5-game winning streak. The game against San Antonio was the first game of a back-to-back. The very next day, we had Milwaukee. And we had to play against Milwaukee. Now, yes, they did not have Giannis Antetokounmpo, but they still had Chris Middleton. They still had Jrue Holiday. Now, we know Freddie, if we have noticed in the past, Freddie tends to struggle against bigger defenders. He tends to struggle to get his offense going, and of course involve the teammates because, when you have length on him, it bothers him. Now, of course, in this game, the usual suspects came out and they contributed, mostly from the starters. If you're looking at the stats here, OG, he had a pretty solid game, 22 points, 2 assists, 6 boards on 6 of 10 field goal percentage. Pascal, 33 points, 6 assists, 5 boards. Yes, he did not crash the boards as much, but again, he's involving people. He's got the assist game now. He's starting to improve on his assists quite a bit, and that is helping out. Gary Trent, 22 points, 2 assists, 5 boards. Now, of course, Freddie, he did not have that solid of a game, but we won. And at the end of the day, that's what matters. He still had a pretty decent game. He didn't have his, 30 points like he was having and like he's been having lately, but he still had 19 points, 5 assists, and 3 boards. Now again, he's hit that 5 assists, the magic 5 assists, like I had mentioned in my very first episodes. That is what we want from Freddie. Even if you're struggling, you're finding other ways to impact the game. He also had a block and 2 steals. So again, defense. You got to find other ways to impact the game to get that W, even if you can't get your own offense going. A point to note, he did play 38 minutes. The bench did pretty good rebounding. They rebounded well in this game. Sure, they did not produce as much on the points, but they had the hustle, again, the defense, and the rebounds. They did very well. Considering that this was a back-to-back against a good team like Milwaukee, sure, they don't have Giannis, but again, there were times in that game where I thought, Milwaukee's probably going to win this game. But surely enough, we figured it out. We pulled through at the end. And then finally, the last game where we played against the Utah Jazz. Now, this game, again, I thought Utah would have won just because of the flow of the game. And, of course, sure, they did not have Rudy Gobert. They didn't have Mike Conley. They did not Bogdanovich. They did not have Joe Ingles. They didn't even have Donovan Mitchell. But again, at the end of the day, we got to win these games. We got to take advantage of the personnel that are not there, especially when they're key players. Win the games you're supposed to win. Let's not have another Brooklyn Nets episode again. Again, in this game, the usual suspects. OG Anunoby, If you look at the stats, 22 points, 2 assists, 4 boards, but again, 8 of 13 field goal percentage, very efficient, and 3 steals. He has been jumping those passing lanes, and I think I've mentioned this so many times, but I just don't get tired of doing that because he really hustles on the defensive end. We have Scottie Barnes. He had a pretty good game too. 11 points, 6 assists, 9 boards. Almost a double-double, possibly a triple-double if you really wanted to. But again, at the end of the day, things like stats and accolades, they don't matter if you get the W. Pascal had a pretty rough night, but again, still a decent night considering we still got the win. Got 17 points, 5 assists, 5 boards, but 38 minutes of action. Some heavy minutes over there. He was decent on the defensive end, 1 block, 2 steals, and you could tell, like, he was doing all the little things. Apart from these stats, he was double teaming smartly, he was putting on the pressure where he needed to, and then we had Freddie Van Vliet. The man of the match, the player of the game. Oh man, he went on a tear. He went on a tear, especially in the third quarter. I think he had like 24 points alone in the third quarter. Something like that, 24, 21 points. I think it was 24 points. But he ended the game with 37 points, 10 assists, 10 boards. That's some all-star stats right there. Oh man, he went on a tear, and this was his first triple-double. So welcome to the triple-double club, my friend. What a game. We were losing this game to Utah. But Freddie, being the leader, being the veteran, he put the team on his back in the third quarter. And he willed this team to that win. The bench played pretty well too. You know, we got Precious, he's got 9 points, 5 boards. You know, got to do what you need to do, right? 1 block, 1 steal. Chris Boucher, he had a very good game too. I mean, you know, he's starting to see a lot of minutes, and that's because he's been hustling a lot. He's been putting in that effort, and the coaches are starting to notice that. But more importantly, he's bought into his role. He's not playing hero ball as much. Sure, he's still shooting those threes that make me cringe, but he's bought into his role. He's got 13 points, 1 assist, 5 boards. But you had to see him in one of the, when he came out at the 20th minute, came to the bench, he was gassed. Like, the camera constantly showed him like how he was literally out of breath. Like, he was just at the end of the bench trying to catch his breath. Like, he was gassed. And you could tell this guy, he was all over the floor. Offensive end, defensive end. Whenever he was on the court, he was putting in 105% all the time. So there you have it, guys. This 5-game winning streak. This is a nice way to start the new year. And I hope we can continue on. Barring any, injuries or COVID protocols, whatever you may be, I feel like we could go on a good winning streak. We're already over 500. We are now one of the good teams in the East. But we did not get there by fluke. These were some of the reasons why we are in this position that we are, and that we have this 5-game winning streak. Number 1, we took advantage of the teams that did not have their full roster, which included the key personnel. Of course, let's not forget, that happened to us. Cleveland took advantage of us when we didn't have pretty much our starting 5 and a few key pieces from the bench. We had a chance to take advantage of a Brooklyn Nets team that was depleted, that only had Kevin Durant, really. But we did not. We lost. The second key is the bench accepting their role. They're finally accepting their role. They understand their role. They're not playing hero ball, and they're doing what we need from them to get that W, what the coach is asking them. And this is translating now to the starters being able to trust their bench a little more. And that's why you're seeing Pascal distributing the ball a lot more. He's getting a lot more assists than he was. And now he's making a concerted effort to crash the boards. So this brings me to the third point, which is ball movement. Now they're starting to trust each other. Now they're starting to understand how everybody's playing, where to find them. They're starting to get used to playing with each other. But the main thing is the ball movement. If you have good ball movement, even if you don't have 3 or 4 superstars, you can still be a very good team. You can still be one of the top echelon teams. Have a good ball movement, have that good chemistry, trust each other. You will win ball games. You will figure it out. This brings me to my 4th point, which is the veterans being veterans. Pascal, OG, and Freddie. They're finally starting to be the veterans, and they are helping the team get the wins. Pascal made a big change. He's crashing the boards. He's racking up assists. He's moving the ball well. He's seeing the floor. His IQ has improved a little bit. OG, he's just being OG. He's just picking up where he left off. So really, he just needs to be a little more of a leader. But I feel like he doesn't necessarily need to right now. But he's still a very good second, if not third option. And then finally, Freddie. Freddie is the floor general for this team. And he is the leader. He is Kyle Lowry 2.0. This team will be as successful as he is. He will take this team to where it needs to be. He's had 3 or 4 games since they came back from the COVID protocols with 30 plus points. These are all-star stats. He deserves to be in the All-Star game. But that will be for another video. And finally, defense. Yes, the defense was always there, but now the defense has been ramped up a little more. Maybe it has something to do with the coaching staff. Maybe they've finally decided, let's put in some playoff style defense when they start to struggle in games. I don't know. But the defense has picked up, and people are buying into this. I wouldn't be surprised if it was because of the time off that the players had during these COVID protocols. Freddie did allude to this in one of his interviews. He did say that in the COVID protocols, it gave him and some of the members who were on the COVID protocols a chance to regroup, get together, and figure this out. They had a team meeting. So that's it for me, guys. If you like my content, hit the thumbs up button, hit the comment section. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Until next time, I'm out.